All right, welcome everyone. This is the Market Stalker stream. We're gonna do a bit of background music that I grabbed from Epidemic Sound, so hopefully no copyright issues. Okay, now you see my charts here. I have my old fib tool that I like to mark off, but on my top StepX, this is the trade in my smaller XFA. Very small size today, guys. The reason behind that is that we are in a very, very tricky day today. As long as the market was falling, I was afraid that the dynamic circuit breakers are going to kick off at any minute. So that's why when I saw the opportunity for a post and my cut fade, I was like, I can't trade this on anything less than like 200 ticks. And I don't want to be worked out. I don't want to lose too much if I'm wrong. So I figured, hey, grab a couple bucks here and there. Why not? Now we are coming into the COMEX close. One thing that's still keeping me in this trade is the fact that gold is still not reaching its own VWAP. I do believe that gold is the leader today. And while silver and copper are reaching VWAP, I would say that we may have a bit of juice left to the upside. So I'm using the correlation between copper and gold to see if I can squeeze out a little bit more out of this trade. All right, Trade on Demand says in MT5. Yeah, I use that for through AMP futures, and all of my indicators from Blahtech are natively in that platform, because when I first started, MT4 actually was a big retail platform, and I felt like the tools that we had at the time were just not really designed for serious independent traders. So we went on a crusade to create professional trading tools, right? Now you see something new here on my charts. This is my options levels that I've been working on in the background. Nothing too serious at the moment. It's just like for me to figure out which magnets are more important than others, and I call them the anchors. So of course we look at the gamma exposure, but we also look at a couple of other things. Right, so let me just see bookmap in gold. Go a bit more granular. Yeah. Gold is starting to sell. Okay, so let's just grab the 250 bucks that we have, because we are in those last half an hour before COMEX settlement. And then once I'm out, we can talk through the trade and what I saw, why I saw it, why I took it. But for my market stalkers, it was a classic post and my cut trade. Only vastly amplified. So let's book that. 270 bucks on a day when people are losing everything. Not bad, okay? Not bad. And yeah, it might push higher. It's just the time of day is bothering me. All right, so let's have a look at what was going on earlier. I'm going to use the Blahtech backtest mode. So we have the COMEX initial balance, tries to go higher, pops just outside of the initial balance, and then just starts running down. And this happened. Out of all the metals, platinum took the worst hit, I think. Oh no, it was gold. No, gold took the worst hit. It was 5,000 ticks down. Platinum was second with 3,800. Then we have gold. Then we had silver that also fell a lot, so 3,000 ticks. How do I know that? Because my Blahtech DR is telling me, so I don't have to calculate anything. And then copper, bizarrely to me, even with this craziness, it seemed quite sane. So I was like, I mean, if I'm gonna long anything, it's gonna be copper, right? Silver is an absolute no on prop accounts at the moment due to the incredibly high risk and the number of ticks that you would need to use to safely trade the way I trade. But here it is. So we drop in what is this? This is 3 p.m. my time, so that is basically just post and white cut. Huge drop. How funny that it happened at the time of day when we normally look at for our trades. But then it started to mess around, so it stopped making a lower low. I also saw it making some strides into the developing value. Now, I don't use developing value that much, but on days like these, it can really be useful, right? So you can use one, like I have it on the Blahtech as well, but it's not nearly as visual because I want the main TPO profile on there. However, because I use TopStepX as an execution platform, I do have a couple of additional tools there. Now, you've mostly seen me on TopStep TV doing my Euro show, and that was, you know, that was a little bit tricky because you can't really do any custom indicators, so I had to wrestle with it at first, but now I have a very good routine. Even if it takes me like 15-20 minutes in the morning to plop all the levels, but it's still worth it, and I think it actually takes me through the awareness of what's happening. And the additional thing is this volume profile. So it's just fixed volume profile. I usually anchor it to the start of COMEX, obviously for metals. And I started watching it as it was dropping. So as it was dropping, obviously the value is being sort of extended and it's leaving it in the dust. We don't want that. But once it started to, this is a 5-minute chart, once it started to bring that value closer and then finally made this switch that was suddenly in value, it's almost like it's one of those setups like a value acceptance only intraday. Does that work every day? No. Why? Because you just don't have enough range to figure out what's going on. But on a day like today, it was fairly obvious, and I decided to pop in a trade at 611. Now, I wasn't too happy with my stop. I wasn't going to use more than 220 ticks on this, and it was a 220 tick trade, 1 micro. We still managed to make 270 bucks. And, you know, it can keep running. But again, because of COMEX close, you can get additional hedging into settlement. It becomes very dangerous. We may want to look at natural gas. Because there's an interesting level. If it kind of chills out a little bit in maybe another 40 minutes or so. But yeah, so once it started making the move above the point of control, I knew that I had something. And I said it, I was in TopStep chat, and I said it, I'm long 1 copper because I'm insane. It's like, this is where my aggressiveness comes in. So most people are like, I'm not touching that. And I'm like, I'm going to touch it. I'm going to touch it. I will touch it. Maybe not with size, but yeah. And it worked, right? It wasn't a full 2-hour trade because of the large stop and because I'm not willing to take this past the COMEX close. So it was only about, what, 1 hour or something? But it's good enough, you know? Put the money in the bank. Why not? All right, so CTraderX says, hey D, have you ever heard of a no-loss strategy or at least only profit strategy before? I cannot say that I have, and that kind of sounds immediately to me like one of those runaway moments. Why? Because whoever's trading whoever's claiming that there is a strategy that will only bring you profits and never bring you losses, let me tell you, after nearly 20 years of doing this, I'm coming up to 19 years in the industry, right? So next year, 2027 will be the full 2 decades. There is no such thing, man. Look, I wish there is, but I believe that they're just playing on your pain points and trying to maybe sell something that probably has either a lot of trails in it, trailing, so therefore you never allow the trade to work in your favor. And guess what? As traders, we are really really here to take the risk. But the amount of people who spend an inordinate amount of time to avoid all pain and all risk at all costs by messing with the stops, by trailing too soon, by not letting trades run, by being suspicious of their own trading and everything. It's epic, right? So what we want to be doing is we want to take the high probability trades, commit to the initial risk, and let it do its thing. Now, with the Market Stalkers method, we have points in the day when we look for some very big statistically relevant events, and they happen over and over. We have a few Market Stalkers in here, they can attest to that, and some of them have been with me for like 4, 5, 6 years. One of them, who is a Top Step coach, Coach Ray, he actually started off coming to me because he was struggling with NQ. So we literally just changed a couple of things, and it turned out that he was just an amazing trader. So for some people, it takes just a little tweak, and it took him a month. Most people take like 2 years to get the real grasp of the method. But he was like so quick. He was already a pretty sophisticated investor, but he was struggling with intraday. And he will use concepts such as ADR high, ADR low, ASR high, supply and demand on profile, but he has his own twist on it, right? And he has beautiful words like Bigfoot and tipping the doorman and sipping margaritas for consolidation. So I do love the way he explains things. Oh, Corey Smith said, D, you're the greatest. I'm alright. Found you from Top Step. Huge fan. Welcome, welcome. Very good. Do I have any advanced PineScript indicators in development? I do not, and here's why. PineScript is almost like a glorified scripting language. Now, all the stuff that you see here, things printing in real time, having, a backtest mode that doesn't lag and just kind of keeps going, and prints all the levels without choking out your platform or anything. This is not even possible on PineScript because it's a fairly simplistic language, and this is also why you don't get any good market profile and TPO indicators on there, because it's just not capable of that. So we still cleared of that, but we are working on Ninja. Ninja has stepped into the 21st century finally. They upgraded all of their systems, not to the latest C#, but now they're coming up with updates all the time. Like every month there's a new update. I love seeing that, and I love the fact that they have finally started doing proper development. For a long, long time, Ninja was just a dinosaur that looked the same, never did any updates, clunky interface, whatever. But now they're really trying to change things around. They've changed a lot of people on the back end, because I've spoken to a couple of people from Ninja a while back, and this whole process started before I even joined Top Step TV, so it was like 2.5 years ago. So we are working on Ninja indicators at the moment. Now, if Top Step X ever decides to get on board with the third-party indicators, they have a slightly different way of doing things, and they have, I think they're using, Java for it, but like I'm just trying to remember what documentation said. It was a while back. But because of that, it's more malleable to what we want to achieve with our solutions on the software development side. All right, this is pushing, so it's a little annoying, but hey, it could have gone either way, because this is a danger zone for the COMEX settlement. One of the reasons why I chose this time of day is because it kind of catches the COMEX close, and it also catches, maybe if we stay here long enough, I'm also going to catch the NYMEX close, so we can see how that works as well. And we're going to have a look at natural gas, how that's doing. Natural gas is in a seasonal funk right now. It's sort of bullish, but it keeps having problems like sustaining the prices. So it's like, what's up with that? We want to see if we can get anything like that. Variety Trades Ani says, Dee, have you ever gone through a period of trading in the 19 years where you seriously doubted your trading ability and thought about quitting? Oh my god, yes. I can actually remember the first Top Step TV year when crude oil died on me. So I was a crude oil trader for 10 years. And then we started Top Step TV. Everything was working fine up until about, I think it was like end of January 2024. And then suddenly I stopped getting follow through on everything. Like gold went dead. You see how gold is moving now? You go back far enough. Sorry about the white charts because I'm, trying to keep the black charts for your purpose. But don't know how much data we have here. But let's try and go back because this is now a new contract. Yeah, so it doesn't go quite far back. But this is the daily chart. They still have the data of high, low, open and close. Look at the size of the candles. So we're talking the entire 2 years of gold kind of trickling upwards, but not really doing it with any kind of power and being super annoying. So my 2 products that I traded religiously all of a sudden died on me. And, it was a very sort of public drawdown because I was in a live account and, still trying to do the same setups, but I just wasn't getting any follow through. And, after a while, I'm like, oh, damn, do I really suck at this? Like, what is going on? But it was just lack of liquidity. So I have my cutoff point where I look for the market to always have a range, committed range, not just like once in a blue moon, but every day. So that we traverse at least like 180 to 220 ticks at the bare minimum, right? Ideally 300 to 400. That's where I'm like super comfortable. And I've spoken about this morning where there's the other extreme where I'm comfortable trading things also in the span of 600 to 800 ticks average range per day. But then we get into crazy territory like silver, gold, thousands and thousands of ticks. I just personally don't think that that's for me. And rather than trying it and then saying to myself, well, do you suck? I just stay away from those conditions because I know that for me personally, that is not the ideal thing to be doing. But did I have, another few years? Yeah. So there was a year where I messed up the account that I worked on for 2 years. This was in the very beginning. So I built it up to about 70K. And this is pounds, not dollars. Back then, the pound was something like 1.8 to the dollar, so it was crazy. And I remember getting into a GBP Aussie, or was it a Euro Aussie trade? Aussie cross of some sort. I was absolutely sure that we are going to continue running. We didn't. So I got caught in the reversal. Just came out of nowhere, to be honest. I don't think I was experienced enough to realize what was happening. At the time, I was a swing trader, only using supply and demand, nothing else. So I didn't know anything about intraday sentiment. I didn't know anything about gamma levels. I didn't know anything about anything, really. I knew average ranges and I knew supply and demand. That was the extent of my knowledge. And I got biased. So I kept trying to go in, and I kept trying to long. Then I started increasing stops without reducing size. Cardinal sin there. And then I eventually just removed the stops. So this all happened over a period of about 2 weeks, but I blew the entire account probably in the space of like 2 days. Because, I kept trying. The balance kept going down. And that's how I found out what a margin call is. When that happened, I vowed to myself that that will never happen again. And whilst I've had bigger losses due to outlier events like getting stuck in an FOMC position, for example, the amount of loss compared to the size of the account wasn't nearly as massive. So it was still painful, but it didn't make me doubt my abilities. I was just like, yeah, really? It was a liquidity issue. Like today, if somebody tried to trade gold or even silver when it was dropping, we can have a look at what the dome looks like right now. So let's go to Top Step X because I quite like their dome. I think it's very clean. Obviously, the platform has its issues, but generally they are I mean, they're really trying to make it a super modern and clean platform. Yeah, so gold, still very gappy. So look at these gaps. I'm going to switch off the auto thing for a second. No, I don't want to switch it off because then you can't see. Look at these gaps. That's all lack of liquidity. So this is all just prone to you getting stuck in a position and nobody being there to take the opposite side. Now, obviously, you're not going to have that problem in a sim account because it is sim. However, you could still get stuck in a potential CME circuit breaker. What a circuit breaker? Now, on equities, they have hard percentage-based circuit breakers that run only during regular trading hours, so they don't run overnight. At least I don't think they do. But commodities are different. They usually run on a rolling 30-minute period, and then they have percentages of like 7%, 13%. So if something moves more than that percentage, they will halt all trading. And then they will reopen it some minutes later at a completely random price. Ergo, you getting stuck in a position is really not an ideal thing. And I was very aware of that. So I said to myself, well, if I'm going to get stuck in a circuit breaker issue, I want to be stuck in one micro. Yeah. But yeah, it's absolutely fine to go through doubting yourself. It is not an unusual thing. It just means that your skills maybe need more work. It's an opportunity to grow. It's an opportunity to learn. And it's an opportunity to nitpick on the things that you might be doing right, because I promise you there will be things that you're still doing right. But on the whole, if you're in a drawdown for the entire week, there's something that is not being taken into account. Like it's either your, let's say, day-to-day risk reward, not per trade. Because per trade you can have, somebody like me, I tend to trade with lower accuracy but higher risk reward. And you can have people who are more scalpery, so they trade for either slightly negative risk reward or one-to-one, but they have high accuracy, that's fine. But when it comes to day-to-day P&L, are your big days, are your winning days bigger than your losing days on a day-to-day basis? And if that's not positive risk reward, then you've got an issue. So I see many people who are like, well, I made $5,000 today, great. And then tomorrow they lose 12. Like, how did that happen? Well, because you didn't put in the risk tools. But what did you do right? Well, yesterday you made all that money. So what happened today? Well, you either malfunctioned, maybe you got a little bit euphoric, maybe your excitement got the better of you, maybe you got overconfident because now you think you can't do wrong. I've been through that as well. I thought I was God's gift to trading at one point. It's like D is Mystic D. And it didn't help that the prop firm that I was at the time started calling me Mystic D, because I had these levels who are ADR levels and also some of the options, magnetic things that I can now show you on the actual charts. But back then it was just extraordinarily difficult to A, obtain the data, it was ludicrously expensive, and B, to here's that reversal, right? This is what I was fearing that it was gonna whip me out. Yeah, and B, I was using these tools that don't need structure to the left-hand side, because let's face it, if you have an ADR that's somewhere above the all-time high, that's a level that has never traded, but it's still a statistical extreme. And then same thing with options. I was calling, I said 625 was an interesting level, but then didn't I say today that we had 640 and 650 as well? And even 670. In fact, here is my markers from the Euro trade this morning, well before any of this happened. Keith, you were there. I'm pretty sure a few people were there. Quite a few people were there. So what was I saying? Well, we have, moderate call wall at 640, 650, and we actually narrowly missed 660. But I was kind of thinking 650 if we really run this week or next week. I didn't think it was going to happen today, but I could see it, right? And eventually they overshot it, failed to reach 660, and ultimately the dealer hedge was the 650 level. And then it all just snowballed from there. Now, why does this happen? Why did it happen? And does this mean we found the top? I don't think so. I honestly don't think so. I think we haven't seen anything yet. Why? Because when you have such incredibly bullish sentiment in bullish markets, you tend to have these crazy runs that are all supported by calls on the way up, and nobody is there to stop the price from rolling over. So then you get these liquidity gaps that have nowhere else to go but to seek the next logical area. Now today that was 612. 612 was, sorry, 610, D, get your glasses. 610 was a moderate call wall, but because of the time of day, and they gave it a good go to try and get to 6, but they missed it. But 610 at post and my cut was reached, and then they stopped. So to me, logically, I'm like, yeah, let's try and go back the other way. All right. Oh man, this is now dragging me into a potential short. We have 4 minutes here. 4 minutes. How many ticks is this? It's about 180 ticks to absorb this. And if I want to capture this 630 level with my stop, it's going to have to be another 220 tick move. That's annoying. Do you know what? We're going to look in natural gas next, because I don't think I have too much of a good read. If gold decides to carry on higher, then this is going to be a very short trade, and we're not. I don't want to be like nervous in a trade. But even gold is starting to sell off now. This is going to be the hedge into the COMEX settlement. So let's leave that and maybe have a look at nat gas instead. Let's move tops to pecs here, and don't know whether I'm going to find a trade there, I'll be honest. So we're going to see. Just bear with me, because I don't want to blind you with my white charts, since I know that many people don't like them. All right. Let's clean this up a little bit. So we're hitting a 4-hour Q high. That's a swing extreme. Taken from sort of a supply and demand concept, but it's sort of like the missing link to it. The gamma flip level from the monthly options chain, so I take the entire options chain, is actually 385, so this is negative gamma. And we have VWAP here. So maybe a weeb setup. But we still need a bearish candle. I'm not going to be shorting things when we're creating a higher high. What is the profile doing, and where are the value areas? So the value area is up here. That's the value high. So we went to value acceptance, rotated partially through it, and we have the seasonality of longs in place. So we've got to be very, very careful here. Sometimes nat gas likes to move, but we have plenty of the average daily range. Plenty. I just don't think that this is the right area for me to go long. So I'm not sure that that's a good setup to take today. I also don't have that much budget to play with, because we only have 270. So I'm going to be a bit more selective there. So what do we have to the upside? We have 4 evens, which is pretty a pretty big level. For those of you in the States, is it still very cold? Trader Mike says, my own 2 cents is a random trader. Yes, D and Anne-Marie both use it, but it's not cheap. I'd love to get it, but my own expertise is not there yet to justify the cost. We're talking about Mentor Q. Paul H, oh my god! Oh my god, man. Yes, excellent. Is there more than one initial bounce? There is. So all of the metals, or not all of them, but the majority of them, they trade on COMEX. If you are in CT, they start trading technically at 720, but very few platforms are going to allow you to start the profile and calculations at like 20 past. So most of them will start at 7:30, so we kind of consider that the start. And it goes for an hour, and then it's the same thing. Absolutely same thing. NYMEX starts at 8 a.m., whereas New York Stock Exchange opens at 8:30 a.m. Central, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it depends on the exchange, right? So you would have the pick hours, and that's what carried over into electronic hours today. All right, let's catch up. So let's talk about MentorQ for a while. It is a good service. One thing that I would like them to implement is the intraday options flow for commodities for days like today on metals. Because if you look at MentorQ, I do have it open. If we look at MentorQ copper or anything really, they have the end of day data, which is from like last night, pre-Globex. They have no more levels. No more levels. And that's a problem. That's a big problem. Why? Because we're effectively seeing the outlier day. And I know that there's levels up there, but it's not showing up. However, for any other day, which is like 90% of other days, it will be very useful. Because they will have levels weighted, and even though they might change a little bit over time with like the relevance throughout the day as the day develops, they still remain the same. And on copper and gold and everything, we have levels that stay for like a couple of weeks, same level. And then every so often you get these kind of days. But yeah, even if you run through some of the levels, you still kind of have them as orientation for the next day and the next day, unless you have another outlier day that just runs away from everything. So, but yeah, it's a great service to begin with. What I've got here is my own sort of weighting of open interest and implied volatility per strike. So I use a number of indicators. I have the implied volatility tracker. I made some changes today, so I messed up this code. So I need to go into my spreadsheet where I track the implied volatility manually and see why that didn't get picked up. It tells you the number of days till expiry, it tells you the gamma flip, put call ratio, and the bias, neutral, and also gamma, whether it's volatile, and then the current price. The gamma, the way I've written it, is to track the current price and then change it immediately as soon as you're like crossing over the gamma flip. But gamma flip can be actually a very good fade point as well. Looking at today's natural gas, we do have a neutral day. We do have a single-sided extension into a normal day type. Daily chart looks a bit flaggy to me, so this is why I'm like, I don't really want to short this, just because of seasonality. I don't want it to like rip my face off into the close. And I would really like to find a long, but I was looking for a drop down to 360. I don't think I'm gonna get that. So what's the second hypothesis? Maybe that we go down and test 380 at some point, and then they stop, reverse, and they go higher to fill the day's range, this time to the upside. So we don't necessarily want to be fading this. If we were already up at ADR, close to this 4 evens level, I would absolutely be jumping in on a short into settlement. But we're not there yet. So anything can happen. The probabilities right now are like 50-50. It could go anywhere. I like my probabilities to be asymmetrical, not 50-50, not a coin flip. Right, let's have a look at chat. Yeah, for the 720 start, use the 1, 5 or 10 minute chart. What is the crime is saying? Hogue approved. Yeah, I do that for LME Open on copper because they start on an odd time at 11:40 a.m. GMT. So I do anchor the VWAP by I mean, you can see it on top step actually. So here it is. This is the LME VWAP. So I've got a 5-minute chart, not because I like to stare at a 5-minute chart, but because it allows me to anchor it at 1140, which is too small probably for you to see here. But this candle, tiny little candle, that one, that's the LME. The problem is that when you flip back to the 30-minute time frame, I don't think it keeps it. That's my only beef with it. Now on Blahtech, you can sort of wrestle it a little bit if you want to really look at the puristic. Let me find the copper. You want to look at the puristic times, even though I really don't think it matters that much, but hey, that's me. So what you can do, you can go down to a custom time frame, which is 20 minutes. So AMP Futures MT5 have that. Then if you go into our Blahtech market profile level, there's a couple of things you would need to change. So first, the TPO period also needs to be 20 minutes. And then you can anchor it wherever you want. So if you want it to display the true data, then you would use the GMT times for actual COMEX, which would be 1:20 p.m. and 6:30 p.m. for settlement. And then when you click OK, it gives you slightly different values. But it's not going to be like, oh my god, it's like so different. So let's see where the value area is from yesterday. So here it is. Is that it? No, I need to go back. I don't have to go back. Okay, hold on. Yeah, this is Wednesday. So the value for LME copper from yesterday was here. So we were like where the hell is it? And let's now go back to, and obviously then your initial balance is not going to be an hour, it's going to be 20 minutes, so you would need to add it. So there's another change actually that I forgot to mention. And that would be the number of bars for the initial balance, because you need an hour, right? So you can't stick it to like 2, because that's only going to cover 40 minutes. And if you go down through the parameters, you will get somewhere, there's a lot of stuff where you can like customize this to death if you wish. But the initial balance size somewhere. I've been busy with other things and I don't tend to mess with my settings very often. That's overall volume. Granny D can't find it now, but it is there. So it's called initial balance period. Here we go. Calculate your initial balance bars. Okay, so that would need to be 3 on a 20-minute chart if you really kind of wanna do it properly. So that will cover 1 hour from 1:20 to 2:20. However, because we use post and my cut when the important stuff happens, I just don't mess around with that too much. So I just keep it to 1:30 start, full day, including the past settlement time, and then just 30 minute charts. Simple. If you're not from the UK, there's an advert for like various sort of insurance sites comparisons, and they have a meerkat who's talking in a very, very strong Russian accent, and then at the end, like, he tells you all this stuff and then he goes stimples. So it sort of seeped into, like, Ani, you'll know what I'm talking about. It sort of seeped into the culture. When you're explaining something that is not that simple, you just turn around and you go simples. Yeah, so sell-off in COMEX so far not very sustained. We're 9 minutes past COMEX, so just watch these metals continuing to shoot up now. fast settlement. That's gonna be a fun one. What a day, man. It's just so crazy. Am I planning on, Eloise is here as well, hi. Am I planning on releasing the IV indicator? So this indicator, it's more like me bodging things together. I would never dream of kind of releasing that. But if we do something, first of all, I need to chat to my team, because obviously they're horrified of my code. Like I go, look what I made, and they're like, no, D, please don't. They're like literally so disgusted with my code, because it's messy, it's like weird, and it's got a lot of stuff that works, but it's just bunched up blocks that sort of run in the right execution flow, but who can read that? Only me, right? So if we are going to go down that road, first I want to finish the indicators for Ninja. So bringing at least our 3 flagship ones, so it will be the Blahtech DR, it will be the Blahtech MP, so market profile, and the Blahtech, which one is the third one? Supply and demand. Did I mention that? It's been a long day, guys. Obviously I started the first stream this morning, then I had to have some treatment, so I feel good, but it's a long day. So yeah, once we're done with that, we can maybe have a look at bodging something like this. It shouldn't be too difficult, because what it's doing is dragging the options data from an API and then kind of crunching it. It's not super complex. It's just like the number of lines and stuff that it needs to chew up upon receiving the data. That's a little tricky, right? But yeah, and then we have to figure out whether it can actually ping APIs from the indicator via some sort of a DLL. I'm just like nerding out here. I'm gonna lose people now, so sorry. Yeah. JSM, hello. Yeah, I figured I would come on here on this historic day and show you my 1 micro in copper. Yes. Hey, at least it counts towards the positive days, right? 270. Why not? Trader Mike says, was a big difference for Ray learning market profile. See, Hogue was already tutoring Ray, so he heard about me from Hogue. Bizarrely. This was a long time ago. It was like 2018, 2019, I believe. Now, Ray already had a kind of a concept of what market profile was. His problem was trading NQ. And he will tell you that, right? He will tell you that. It was just causing such emotional dysregulation that he couldn't think straight. So I moved him to slightly calmer products that are also pretty volatile, but at the time they were a little bit less jittery, if that makes sense. And literally in the space of, I don't know, it was like 2 weeks maybe. As soon as I moved him, he started seeing things like that's the only thing he's been doing his entire life. It was amazing. Like, he's so fascinating. So I love Ray. Ray has a YouTube channel. His nickname in the industry is Wildebeest, but I don't know whether he went by that. I thought he should have gone by that, but I think he went with Market Trader or something. And I do watch him whenever I'm free and not doing like other things. Let's see. Where is he? So let me just have a look at all of my subscriptions. The Market Trader. So just the Market Trader. That's Ray. So yeah, please make sure you're there and check out his analysis. You know, obviously he's not been in the YouTube game for long, so he's not gonna have the fancy cameras, lights, and all of that stuff. But hey, I didn't for a long time either. I worked off of a Logitech cam for years. Then I upgraded to an Elgato face cam, but my old house was really difficult with lighting. There was like sunlight beaming like all the time. You could never block out the windows. I sort of had shutters, but it wasn't really working. So I felt like I didn't want to invest in anything. And it wasn't until I moved here, which is English countryside, bigger house, bigger room. You know, I have a lot more space than I had in the old house. And I decided to up my game on the production side of things. So yeah. So the biggest difference for Ray was actually not trading NQ, but he was already reasonably familiar with market profile. I think we just deepened the concept and understanding by just pinpointing systematic playbooks in and around what can happen. So that's where my power is as a teacher, as a coach, where I have very, very clear systematic playbooks that are based on my 4 frameworks, which is ADR, so statistical ranges, profile, both the previous value area and how the current day's TPO looks like, and then assumptions around some of these times of day, right? So those are the 3 frameworks: time of day, then level, open sentiment via the overnight market profile. And I look at it in a different way than Dalton, by the way. He calls the overnight inventory something different. I'm just looking at whether we open above it or below it, inside it, and if we're outside of it, by how much. And that's my very first steps. It's like open sentiment. Where are we? So that, I think that was helpful for Ray, but I don't think he was like, oh yeah, that's it. It was just like the product, choice of product. And he's actually always been a really, really good trader. But yeah, funny how like one small change like that, it can change your life, right? All right, let's have a look at more chat questions here. And, you know, I don't have a moderator here, so again, flying solo. Yesterday I was on my own because Bruno had some personal stuff to deal with for the Euro trade. So it was the first time in a long time that I didn't have somebody kind of throwing me questions and keeping an eye on the chat. That's it was interesting. All right, trade on demand. What would you say is the differentiating factor between volume profile of indices versus commodities? Would the answer be different if it's a market profile? No. So the differences is in like slight behavioral quirks that those products have, and it's going to be time of day. So time of day will vary. So for example, you see this little squiggle down from VWAP, that's COMEX settlement. But nat gas, if I drag it, we're only going to come into the day range fill right about now. So it's actually already kind of happening, but because of the context of the day, I wouldn't short it. So its times of settlement will be different. That's number one. Playbooks are the same. Like if you learn the Market Stalkers method, playbooks are exactly the same. The difference is in, for example, if you're looking at a short failed auction on ES, that might not be the best choice, or it may not have legs to go into a full rotation through the initial bounce. Why? Because it's an uptrend. So that's like the contextual bit. It's not the difference between market profile, volume profile. It's the difference between the strength and intention of the market participants. So if something is just screaming to the upside, like metals are at the moment, running short failed auctions, yeah, it might work. Today it worked beautifully on copper. But this is an outlier day. This is not how it works. Let's use the Blahtech backtest mode to see how we played out on some of the previous days. This is where backtesting in this way is great. So we had a short failed auction. Very small initial bounce. But what did they end up doing eventually? They went up. So this one would have worked. For me, it wasn't particularly worth it. And I was actually I was in a long, and then I sort of got bogged down because I was feeding my dog. I was feeding my Cavalier, and I totally forgot to look at what was going on. So it turned around on me. So that was pretty much just, you know, scratch trade. Then I think I was looking for more shorts, and I ended up getting only a few ticks before the FOMC. And then that was it for me. That was it. Then I managed to mess up my AI platform. I tried to feed it like a really big CSV file. And then I spent the next 4 hours trying to unlock it because I kept trying to get back into it. It was locking up. So that was my evening yesterday. How was yours? So yeah, failed auction that time kind of worked, right? Let's have a look at this one. This is a long failed auction. So what are metals doing? If you're using Blahtech indicators, you will see that we have a trend tracking by supply and demand, not by zigzag, higher highs, lower lows, nothing like that. We're looking at whether the supplies have been broken or whether the demands have been broken, and then figuring out whether it's a pullback or whether it's a true trend change. So with all three time frames showing up, 4 hour, daily, weekly, you don't short that, especially not into a failed auction. So what happens? We extend downwards, quickly return to the initial balance, and then go back to VWAP. Eventually, throughout the course of the evening and past COMEX settlement, this one actually went higher, but that's unusual. I think this was just in the run-up to FOMC. Let's have a look at another day. So here is another New York. So when was this? Monday. Failed auction, touches VWAP, carries on higher, and yes, eventually it rolls over. But why? We had the mega call here. 6 evens. I was talking about that level. Sadly, it kind of happened on the day when I was looking at it. This was it. This was the Euro trade. So I was looking at an Asia high sweep and then a reversal. I didn't get that. They just moved away. So by the time that I started streaming, we were already sort of here. So I'm like, yeah, let me run like another long. Because that usually works, right? You fade the pop outside and then it's fine. Didn't work that day, but hey ho. So the moral of the story here is that shorts against the sentiment may work, but longs with the sentiment until proven otherwise are always going to be a better, safer bet, so to speak. Here we go again. So we try to fail the auction, get to VWAP, pull back. Let's go back another day. This is one where it looks like it failed the auction, but what happens? They exit it immediately at the next TPO and then just chop around. So nothing. Then we have this one. Fails the auction to the downside, pulls back, carries on into full rotation and then some. Why? You have an uptrend, right? Things like that. That's the difference between different products. Time of day and the sentiment, that trend that the market currently has. But the profile is always going to be the same. Failed auctions will look the same. Which side you take them, that's on you. Auction fades will always look the same. Neutral days that are not outlier days like this one, because this is a neutral day where we extend higher, then we extend massively lower, then pull back, touch the single print, and then fade. But there's also VWAP there, so confluences. Just like bits and pieces like that, right? So this is one thing that I'm kind of a little bit sort of conflicted on. With top step X, you can't show this very easily, and I always have to like draw things. And but if you have like, you know, the drawing already on the chart, just screaming at you, going, "Hey, look at me!" It's much easier. But yeah, you'll get there. Trading Francis, yes, I did see your email last night because I don't check my emails like religiously every single day. I did see your email. It sounds interesting. I think I will be able to do it. I think so. It's not, Cotswolds is not too far from here, right? But yeah, I will respond to you. I'll respond to you. So yeah, we can chat closer to the time. Something interesting brewing with Francis and something he's preparing, so I'm gonna say. Paul H said that Ray said yesterday silver is the NQ of metals. I agree. It certainly turned into that. Am I happy about that? No. Am I now trading it? No. I trade it like every so often now. I'm like, yeah, you know, this is still set up, but oh my god, the risk. So, you know, if I have a good balance on the day, you know, I kind of smash like 3 or 4 grand on other products, and then I'll be like, yeah, let's trade silver, because now I can afford to lose 800 to 1500 on the day if it doesn't work. So to me, it's always, how much can I lose on the day? It's not like, wow, dollars in my eyes, how much can I make? I'm always like, if this goes wrong, how wrong is it going to go? And is it going to erase all the stuff that I was doing previously? All right, so copper has slowed down quite a bit. Let's have a look at this nat gas and try and track that. What's the time? 5 minutes. All right, so if we continue to go higher, this is then going to be a neutral day type. This yellow line is the ASR. Then we have the ADR, which would be the more preferable area. So really, if I want to be a seller, this is my zone. This is the zone. Why? Because this is a magnetic pull. And 4 evens is very achievable. The US still has cold weather. So I'm not really itching to short it here. It is possible that it goes, but again, it's one of those 50-50. The only reason why it might fade here is because of the time of the day. And then it will be a weakness inside initial balance weave setup with the prior value acceptance. But because of the seasonality, because of the cold weather, because natural gas is called the widowmaker for a reason, I kind of want to have my levels, my ducks in a row, right? Want to have a very good level if I'm going against that sentiment. And then if it runs over, I'm actually cool with that. I just won't be cool if I'm taking a trade that is low probability based on, oh hey, I want to be in another trade. So yeah. I've been trying to really go back to my core sort of Marcus Stalker's method, because since I got sick, I feel like that went away a little bit. And I found myself many times forgetting that it's, for example, lunchtime and I shouldn't be in New York and I shouldn't be trading. Because 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. my time in GMT, that's lunchtime in New York. And for me, it wasn't historically a very good time. So I actually have it locked up in Ninja via the GET, the Guardian Angel Trader. So I can't even trade during that time. If I try, everything is grayed out. And I click a button and it's like, computer says no. And I go, why? Oh, yes, of course. But for now, top specs, you still have to like manually lock yourself up, which means extra time and things to remember, which at the moment I've got my head full of various things. I'm preparing like another little update on the Marcus Stalker's method. So I'm adding a deeper dive into gamma levels, which was highly requested by many of you. But then some of the lectures from the course are also going to go into the VIP program that Top Step is having sometime this year. They're going to start drafting, I don't know, February, March or something. And I'm already like formulating some of the lectures, what was good last time, what gave really good results, what were they interested in, and ultimately what was the most beneficial for the traders in the VIP program. So I'm just going to try to do all of that. And then to also remember that I shouldn't be trading and I need to check the time. It's a little bit over my RAM memory at the moment, at 45. Right, so I think that we might actually have maybe another setup long on copper. Because look at this. If it's going to be an outlier day again, this at some point might just start going higher. But I want to see a stronger bullish engulfing. This is just a range. And then if I enter now, and it ends up being a range, and this is the range that we're working with, this one, then where is my entry? In the middle of nowhere. Like dead in the middle of the range. I don't want that. So maybe if we can get back down to whatever this is, 615.50, that could be a long. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. But nat gas was a potential setup. Unfortunately, we're not there yet. And it's all wrong, right? The time of day is right. level is wrong. We still have a lot of range on the day, so yeah, not great. NinjaTrader says full 14-1 micro. Yeah, it depends on the stop loss, right? So you can easily have a stop loss that is so large that it engulfs your whole maximum loss limit on a 50k. That's not unusual. Oops, sorry. There goes my alarm. NYMEX products. Don't know whether that came through. No, I don't have the audio. Don't think I have the audio. Output feeding into my OBS. Alright, Trader Naman says, in the evening I had an accident with a bike and my front tooth broke in half. Oh no, I'm so sorry. Now I have an appointment for root canal treatment tomorrow and it was just before market open. Yeah, definitely don't trade, because you're gonna be all loopy and probably in pain. But I'm so sorry to hear that. I actually need a I kind of need a root canal on one of my teeth, but I have braces on. I'm hiding them very well because the top ones are like lingual braces. Because I had a car accident a few years ago, and for some reason my top jaw shifted, but I didn't notice because I had like a concussion and stuff, and I was a bit loopy for 18 months after that, and I never noticed. And then I went for a checkup like some years later. And my dentist goes, how is your bite? And I'm like, you know what? My jaw has been locking up in the morning. And he goes, what do you mean? And I said, yeah, I can't really open my mouth to chew properly either. And he said, you didn't think to like seek help? And I was like, no, it didn't really. Like, yeah, it was a bit uncomfortable, but you know. So then we decided that the problem that was with the bite, and it was actually the whole jaw, because it just grew back wrong effectively, and I'm kind of trying to correct that. And I've had these braces on for like 2.5 years now, so I've just got one wire left and then they're off. So but I do that in Belgrade because I have an amazing dentist there. I won't go anywhere else. I would argue they're probably one of the best dentists in Europe, not just Serbia. And they make everything really comfortable. Whereas UK dentists, they love to torture people, man. Don't you find that? Like, first they lean you into a chair, and then they lean you some more, and then they spray stuff in your mouth, and you're like... one of them shouted at me as well. He was like, why are you joking? And I was like, gag reflex. And he goes, stop it. And I'm like, oh, I can't. So yeah, this is why I don't go to the UK dentists, and very happy with the one I have in Belgrade. But as a result, I only do that when I go and see my mom, which is like every 2-3 months. So it doesn't, the whole thing has lasted a lot longer than it should. But yeah, we're coming to the end, so I'm going to be really looking forward to these things coming out of my mouth, because I'm sick of having like metal everywhere. Right, let's put these two babies, these two puppies side by side. And we can then watch the next sort of 27 minutes. So I'm going to hang with you for another 27 minutes to watch the NYMEX close, and maybe to see if we can find another little very slow long. So it's going to be super slow dancing long on copper, but only if we reach 615.50 and a little bit below, and then pull back. So, Dolby Trade, he would love that one. Don't know whether he's on air, or sometimes he pops in here just to say hi. Dolby's awesome, I love the guy. NinjaTrader says, I'm originally from Australia. We have way better dental in Oz in the UK. Yeah, I wouldn't get much dental work done here. Look at British teeth. I know, right? I know. And I think the reason why they don't really advance the dentistry in the UK is because it's so expensive that there's not much demand. So all of the treatments are even more expensive. Like the amount that I paid for, because I had a problem with one of my teeth. I broke it somehow during COVID, and then it went a bit wrong. So I had to whip it out and get a dental implant. The money that I paid for the dental implant in in Belgrade versus what they quoted me here, it's night and day. So they quoted me like 4,500, 5,000 for the same implant, same everything. And over there, I paid as we were getting the steps done. They also will not put a dental implant on the same day. They will do bone grafting. They will do like the screw. And actually my niece calls me Iron Auntie because both of my nieces speak very good English. They are obviously raised in Serbia, but they are so good at English. In fact, the younger one, she's like 25 now. They're all grown up. I think she speaks better English than her own mother tongue, to be honest. And she even dated an American boy, so they traveled everywhere. So yeah, that was interesting. But the cost was 960 euros versus the exact same implant, exact same everything for 4.5K. And I'm like, what are you going to do to me? It's like, you know. And he actually said to me in this country, oh, you know, I'm going to have to knock you out. Because I could feel, like, he started drilling and I could feel it. And I'm like, dude, And he's like, what is it? Again, shouting at me, another person, another dentist shouting at you. And I go, it hurts. And he goes, I've already given you max dosage. And I'm like, well, I don't know. You don't know how to do a dental block then. And he went, what do you mean? How dare you? And then he went into this whole argument. That was the moment that I decided I'm not going to do UK dentists anymore. And yeah, so they, in Belgrade, they put, the first thing they did was bone grafting. Because, you know, I'm not exactly young. I'm not old, but I'm not a spring chicken anymore. And there's like gravity. They can pull your sinuses down and everything. You can't get away from that. So he put like a nice bone graft. And then I called up 3 months later. And I'm like, can we put the next stage in? And he just went, no, it's been 3 months. Call back again in another 3 months. They will allow the healing process of 5 to 6 months to fully happen before they move on to the next stage. So before you get a final implant, in the way they do it, it's like a year and a half. But you have it for life then. So the much better way. And I heard in Turkey, you know, you go to Turkey, you get all of your dental implants on the same day. How can that be? So what if you have problems with like integrating it and not enough material, or just so dangerous, man. Like, don't mess with your teeth. We need our teeth. And full functionality of the jaw, which was my issue. Red candles, Yoda. Well, he is there. Always sitting on the window, looking at me. Never traded copper before. Yeah, copper is awesome. Some days it's really boring. Let's be honest. But when it's moving like this, this is maybe the beginning of what happened to silver and gold. Copper is just a little bit late to the party. We already had some crazy tariff moves, so let's expand this. And let's go back to the weekly chart and go back to the earlier part of the year. So this was last June, already in a very nice bull market. I've been trading copper now very, very actively, because before I kind of traded it every so often. It was never really a very interesting market. But in the last 2 years, copper has started moving. And then this happened. So this was either a fat finger or something, or some of the institutions blowing out. We'll never know. But it took the entire summer. Now, summer was extraordinarily boring. Oh my god, I wanted to go and like jump off a bridge. Let's see if I can go back far enough. It was so slow. Oh my god. So here we go. Here's the drop. And then suddenly, this is a 4-hour chart, so maybe not the full data here since it's from the other contract. So slow. So slow. And that doesn't really pick up until 24th of September, really. And even then you had some days that are just like so boring. So you do have to recognize it's like, okay, copper, no, maybe not the market for this week. But once it starts trending, once it starts moving, once something like this happens, it does have enough juice to kind of start flying around. but it flies around smoothly. This is why I like it. I was actually talking to Hoop yesterday, not just on group coaching. We talk a lot. Hoop and I chat at least twice a week, sometimes every day. So we're big trading buddies, even though our styles couldn't be more different. He's a scalper, I'm more of a intraday swing trader. But yeah, we were just talking about copper, and I've been telling him, you know, how much I like it and how it's very nice for me to keep the trades going for hours and hours, and you get a load of ticks for it for very low effort and emotional regulation. And he said, well, now that I've been watching it for a number of months, I can see why you like it. And I'm like, yeah, that's good. And even today, you know, gold and silver flying around like crazy. And yes, we have expanded candles, okay? But it still did the nice mean reversion without drama. I never felt for once in this entire time that I was in that trade. And not because I was on a small size, because the price action was smooth. It didn't give that, like, I call it the seizure-inducing price action. It's like up, down, up, down. Silver has it. Silver has it now. So let's move on to the white charts. Again, I apologize for the white charts. I know you don't like it. Now this is calm, right? This is calm. Look at how much trouble graphics is having with like keeping up with things. Look at it. It's like the spread goes first, then the price action follows. And then it's just up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, up, then up, up, then down. That irks me, man. I can't stay in a trade when it's like that. Because you're always feeling like somebody's going to pull the rug from underneath your feet. So I don't know how people could trade NQ. And now, honestly, I don't want to trade this. Because it's like vomit-inducing. It's horrible. And yet copper didn't sell off, you know, orderly, slightly smaller, still moving. But none of that extreme sort of seizure activity. So for me, for my 45-year-old heart, I can trade it with no beta blockers, you know? That's a very important thing. Yeah, so everybody's saying it's very expensive to get dental implants in Norway and Florida. Yeah. Red candles. I trade NQ and it dumped hard today too. Yeah, everything was falling today. Everything. It was just one of those days where post FOMC, this is what you get. You either get like a hangover day where nobody's trading, but I think because we had such a muted reaction yesterday, it's almost like somebody gave them like a line of Coke or something and they went, oh shit, like we missed FOMC. And then they're like, quickly, offload. It's like you were supposed to offload this the day before FOMC or into it, not after. Like, what are you doing? But I don't know, maybe it's because they held the rates and it was like a highly expected probability that they're going to hold rates. So now they're like, let's dump some, you know, let's take some profits. And then because there's nobody on the opposing side to take, you know, the shorts and the longs, it just kept falling. So, you know, this is what Hogue means when he says ACH. This is gold. Let's have a look at the ADR. How much did we fall today? This is a small font. Again, I could make it bigger, but I can't be bothered at the moment. 4,999 ticks. Missed 5,000 by one tick. So, crazy stuff. Absolutely crazy. And this is why we love markets, but this is also what makes them so dangerous. Because if you find yourself on the wrong side, you get biased, you don't want to let your stop trigger and just go, meh, I'm wrong, oops, move on. Then you keep trying to re-enter and re-enter. You can't do that. So you need to have maximum like 2 attempts per level. So let's say you try once, doesn't quite work, maybe it wicks you out, but then it gives you a better price. However, the trigger is still there. So it still sells off, for example, from a level, and you're still looking to enter. So you enter the second time. If you get wicked out of that second time, you need to let it go. Let it go. If you don't, that's when everything starts snowballing. You start questioning the meaning of life. You start questioning everything. All right, another 15 minutes we're going to hang here to see how this NYMEX close happens, and then I'll be off. Now, I was supposed to be on Fast Markets tomorrow, but unfortunately I forgot I have a prior engagement. I mixed up the weeks, so I have to get up to London, unfortunately. So you won't be seeing me on Top Step until Monday. And then we're gonna hang on to NinjaTrader. And we're still working on getting the show closer to the LME Open. So that will happen. It will happen. I know I've been saying it like forever, but we've had some like structural changes on the TV side over in Top Step, and we had to wait until the new people were like clued in. Now they're clued in, and now it's time to start moving on the needle on some of the projects that have been outstanding on the TV side for a while. Looking forward to that. But on the plus side, they've given me a playlist. This is not the same playlist. This is my playlist from another provider. So we have another playlist because people have requested music. I can see why, but luckily I can't hear it. And yet you guys have nice music in the background to fill the silence while we wait for price action to happen. Not that I have too much silences at this time of day, but in the morning, I'm still waking up. I've never really been a morning person, to be honest. So, you know, I have my one espresso that just barely wakes me up. And then I'm like, let me just read my emails. And I'm like, oh yeah, hold on. I'm on the stream, D. Shouldn't be reading emails. Paul H says the book on silver is super thin right now. It is still disgusting. Like, I'm looking at GC as well. This looks horrible. Nobody's trading this. Like, don't trade. Like, if you're gonna trade something, trade something that is actually populated. Look at copper. Copper looks normal. Maybe not like the most liquid market, but it doesn't have gaps. Like, even micro. Let's look at silver. Micros, better, but still look at the distances between prices. All of this, like, nothing, 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 order, nothing, 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 order. That's all the stuff that can get you stuck in a position. And I heard that Dakota had a really big issue last night when he was on, and people were like, oh, the market is the platform's not working. Why? Because a whole bunch of people don't know how the platforms actually work and how the exchange actually works. So there's nothing wrong with the platform. Platform is working perfectly this time. Unfortunately, if you don't have liquidity, there is nothing Top Step can do. Coming from the exchange, this is futures, man. You don't have anyone on the other side. It's disaster. You'll be waiting for fills. So you hit a market order. Yeah, they might fill you, but you might have to wait for 10 seconds. Or if you have a limit order, they might not fill you because it's not guaranteed. They can guarantee the price, but not the fill. There's double-edged swords all over the place. All right, we're seeing some buyers stepping in. A couple here. Let's have a look at full silver as well. I'm guessing that's going to be even worse. Yeah, look at it. It looks like an illiquid market. Exactly what it is. Oh, I kind of want to do this long copper trade. I know I shouldn't. Don't do it, D. But I can see gold like popping off, and I know that it's going to drag copper with it, not silver. Copper. Did I say silver? I'm losing it now. So I know that's going to have a knock-on effect. Not as crazily. You know what? Let's do another small, tiny trade. Just say no, D. Whoops. I lost everything. What happened there? Hold on. Oh yeah, my Top Step just decided to randomly refresh itself. For what reason, I have zero clue. Right, I'm just also gonna have a look at the copper dome. And we're also working with observing. Oh, Cavalier wants out. Hold on. We're also working at observing the correlations. So this is gold that's starting to pull up. And copper is actually looking more bullish than gold on a 15-minute time frame. Let's go with 15 minutes here. Yeah, so this one's almost a bit bullishing off it. Let me just let the Cavalier out, because otherwise Crichton is gonna like rip his face off. Alright, sorry about that. Just, I'm basically a butler for my dogs, nothing else. And as expected, the natural gas is running to fill the range, but again, I don't know how to limit risk here because it's all up and up. So I'm right on the hypothesis, but the trade idea was not there because the level was crappy. But yeah, let's see if this copper can maybe initiate something. Let's do 1 micro copper. Now I don't need 220 ticks here because I have a range. So if you look at this, and sure, it might whip me out and I will lose 147 bucks, not ideal, but that's fine. I'm willing to eat that up. Make this a break-even day. Wait, give it back. Magic, magic, turning 269 into 100 bucks. That's magic, baby, magic. Tori trades 10 lines. It's a funny username. Love that. Yes, MHG, and it's a true micro. It's a true micro. It's $1.25. Perfect, right? So yes, micros are a thing. This is a very massive target here, so we're not going to shoot for that much. It's just... Let me have a look at my levels, actually. I have my stream deck here that's messing with the edge of my screen. Alright, so we have 630 as the potential next thing. I suppose the VWAP is the closest. That's just a 1-to-1. That sucks. Yeah, let's go to this former mega cold wall. That could be a magnet still. And another area where they might hedge it. And then if we don't get any movement, because at this time of day, copper is usually slow. But we're in an outlier day where it's like... we may just continue. And so why am I entering in this trade? It's not just like, oh, I want another trade. There is a method to the madness, right? So let's go back to my actual trade here. It is very evident to me that we left this single print to the downside. They already tried to go through it. So this was where the single print was first made. So we are slowly making our way through the single print. Now we've gone through comic settlement, it is a little quieter, but I would be looking for them to kind of continue the slow rise towards the single print area again. Because everything is still bullish. If you look at it on the daily chart, we didn't even go into a bearish day. So to me, this is just new all-time high. Liquidity was just not there, and now bulls need more power. So to go back to the topic of this live stream, copper to the moon, probably that is something I'm going to be looking at. I don't see this as a blow off top at all. I see this as a very much needed pullback where the markets just went absolutely insane. So I was talking to Hoop yesterday and we were saying something somewhere will break. Like, they can't carry on like this. Like, how high can we go? And here we go. We had a catalyst of post FOMC, and now we're 5,000 ticks down on gold. It's nuts. Right, 7 minutes until I end the stream and until we also see how NYMEX closes. So maybe let's put NG. Natural gas. 30-minute time frame. Then we know there's a 4 evens level. This is the ADR high. And we've moved through the mega cold wall after some gamma pinning here. Try to go lower. And then we have day range fill going all the way up. So I don't want to fight that. But I will absolutely fight it if we get to 4 evens tomorrow for day range fill or post NY cut. And they start to hedge. And we bounce. Alright, chameleons, we wait for the level. So we don't move anywhere. We don't chase. Because lions chase, you know, a whole bunch of predators chase. What does the chameleon do? Just sits on a branch, waits for the fly to go by, and just goes, "Whoop." Very lazy, but very efficient. Did you know that lions only have like 30% success rate in like all of that chasing and FOMO and screaming and everything? Whereas chameleon, I think it's got like 70% hit rate on the lunch catching skills. But yeah, both can be successful, but from a different perspective. The real DC trader, okay. MHG seems great from looking at it last night. Got a good meter that short this morning. Sim account, but hey, good stuff. Yeah, amazing. I mean, you start on the sim, you get a bit more experience, and then you're like, yeah, now I know what to do. Just know that this is not normal for copper. You won't get these kind of moves all the time. You will get some days that are very decent, but this was definitely an outlier. There's one on Twitter, I was joking. I was like, are we all gonna now see everybody trading copper? And, you know, people go to wherever the liquidity is. And yeah. Yasunari says that this wildcat that has a 98% hunting success rate. Now that's impressive. Yeah. Crazy how HG pulled back down to break out support to the tick. Yeah. So HG is a non-speculative market. What does that mean? It means that it's not prone to games that retail play when they're fighting with and overpowering the dealers. So the dealers will be in copper, usually because A, that's their job, and second of all, the vast majority of participants in copper have to be there. They're either producers or they're users of copper, right? And, you know, you won't get games being played. Levels are very much respected. Maybe not today. This is like a crazy day. But on the normal day, but even now, look at VWAP. Like the purple line, right? There's the purple line. VWAP, smash, reactive. None of this like, let's overshoot it by a million ticks and then reclaim it. Ugh, I can't stand that. This is so annoying. So it's much, you know, it's much more readable, if you can call it that way. Let me put my little fib tool marker on here. And I might hold this for a while. So where did I enter? I just drag like the fib tool randomly and then I input the actual levels. So entry 620.15. Entry. And I started doing something similar on top specs, but you can't do labels. The labels are different. And it just said 0, 1, 2, 3. Whereas on this one, you can name them. 6, 14, 25. There you go. That is what my trade looks like on the chart. Again, if this is a range, then I'm screwed. And I'm just going to be chopping around. But that's alright. Alright, 2 minutes left, guys. And then I'm going to be bouncing. Average session range high line being reached in natural gas. But I'm suspecting they're going to run this up to ADR high. Maybe aftermarket. But now it's too late. I don't have a setup yet, and this is too late to be entering a NYMEX product because it's going to be slow. Even slower than copper. It's going to be like, wow. I'd rather those stick pins in my eyes. I don't mind slow moving products, but that just goes dead. It's very different. All right. We're at 21 ticks in profit. You know what? Let's grab this as well, and I'm gonna finish my day. So there we go. Almost 300 bucks. Almost 300 bucks on a day when everybody's losing their shirt left, right, and center. All right, that is going to be it for me. Guys, thank you so much for joining me today. This was fun. I mean, if my energy holds up, I might try and do this on Thursdays. I'm not giving any promises because last time I tried, I literally started crashing within 10 days. I did 2 streams and I was like, oh my god, it's happening again. So yeah, let's see if this time around with some new treatments and new approaches, my energy holds up a bit better. So I'm gonna try, no promises, but I'm gonna try to do this next Thursday at the same time. So doing the day range fill and just looking at how the markets are kind of ending for the day. Because I believe that a lot of people are doing the open. Let's do the open, let's trade the open. Why don't we trade the close? So that's where I'm gonna come in. Anyways, have a lovely evening or afternoon, depends on where you are in the world. And again, thank you for sharing your time with me. I really appreciate it. Have a great weekend, and I will see you again probably on Monday if you migrate over to TopStep TV. I still have my Euro show on there, and then we'll see how the week goes and whether this moving copper is the start of some mad run upside or whether it's just like a one-off. We'll find out together. That's all I have for you. This was the Market Stalker stream, and I'm Market Stalker D. Take care.